Well, I've been telling you that I'm optimistic about the November election, and I have a few things in this segment that absolutely bolster that optimism. Very exciting stuff, a lot to go through. First, a Fox News host who had to report on some just devastating numbers for Donald Trump. If indeed, even just a tiny portion of the data he walks through ends up playing out in the election, it's over for Trump. And so there's so much that's going to happen between now and then. And we're going to do everything to make sure that this indeed manifests itself in the election. But again, there's reason for optimism. And it's not just this. We'll go through a few things. But here is a Fox contributor talking about the reality that within the Republican Party, there's a huge chunk that is unwilling to vote for Trump based on the primary results. And while you're watching this, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the alert bell so that you get notifications. Here it is.
Nikki Haley won 2.9 million votes in the primaries so far. If those, and our Fox News voter analysis shows that somewhere between 5 and 10 and 6 and 10 of those Nikki Haley voters say they won't vote for Trump in November. If even a fraction of those voters deliver on that promise and stay home or vote third party or just split their votes or something, Trump loses.
That's it. Can you imagine those words being spoken on Fox News? Exactly right. And we saw it state after state. Exit polling by the Fox News analysis, a majority of Nikki Haley voters say they're not going to vote for Trump. In the general, you cannot win an election when that percentage of your party is not willing to vote for you in a general election, whether it be because they're going to go third party, stay home, or vote for Joe Biden, obviously the ideal situation. And I think that's profoundly exciting, okay? It really is. Now, Mike Pence came out, and he represents another issue Trump has, which he is not getting previous supporters of him who are prominent, who are seen to be more moderate, even though Pence was his vice president. But he's struggling to get those Republicans who could win back over the Nikki Haley types to support him. And Mike Pence just came out today and said he won't be endorsing Donald Trump, which, even though that should be obvious, a given what Trump tried to do to him on January 6th, it wasn't. And I was assuming Pence would be a coward like he was for much of his vice presidency and just back Trump.
Let me ask you this. We have not spoken since former President Trump sewed up the nomination, which he did earlier this week. And he has received endorsements from some of the people who were running against him. But we have not heard from you. Will you be endorsing your former president? You were on the ticket with him last time around.
Well, Martha, I appreciate the question. And it should come as no surprise that I will not be endorsing Donald Trump this year. Look, I'm incredibly proud of the record of our administration. It was a conservative record that made America more prosperous, more secure, and saw conservatives appointed to our course in a more peaceful world. But that being said, during my presidential campaign, I made it clear that there were profound differences between me and President Trump on a range of issues, and not just our difference on my constitutional duties that I exercised on January the 6th.
Not just the fact that he asked me to shred the Constitution in a paper shredder and install him as the president with fake electors.
I mean,
And then when I didn't do it, incited a mob to attack the Capitol that was chanting, "Hang me."
I've watched his candidacy unfold. I've seen him walking away from our commitment to confronting the national debt. I've seen him starting to shy away from a commitment to the sanctity of human life. And this last week, his reversal on getting tough on China and supporting.
Okay, so I just want to address in that, separate from the core being really exciting, seeing yet another former Trump administration official and prominent, sort of more Nikki Haley type Republican not being willing to endorse Trump. That also increases the likelihood that other quote unquote moderate Republicans would feel more comfortable not endorsing Trump. Nikki Haley now, seeing that Pence isn't doing it, might feel more comfortable not endorsing Trump, which if she sticks to not endorsing him, then a lot of those voters who were walking out of the voting centers saying they're not going to vote for Trump in the general will stick to it. Now, I think she could get a lot of them to vote for Trump if she went out there and campaigned for him. But as of now, she hasn't. And I hope that continues to be the case. And Pence saying this makes it more likely that Nikki Haley and others will not endorse Trump, which is devastating for his campaign. Now, I want to address, like I said, one thing that he said. He says a part of why he's not endorsing Trump is because Trump is no longer committed to addressing the national debt. Neither is Mike Pence, just to be clear, okay? Interesting bit of reporting here from Semaphore. Blame tax cuts for Washington's budget woes, new report says. With Congress awkwardly shuffling toward a high-risk showdown over the debt ceiling later this year, a leading liberal think tank is releasing a new report today that looks at the age-old question of whether tax cuts or rising spending are mostly responsible for Washington's budget woes. Its answer? Blame the tax cuts. We'll jump over to the Center for American Progress report. Tax cuts are primarily responsible for the increasing debt ratio. Without the Bush and Trump tax cuts, debt as a percentage of the economy would be declining permanently. And so if someone like Pence actually cared about addressing the national debt, he wouldn't have supported, and probably still supports in the future, massive tax cuts for the rich, right? Disproportionately, these tax cuts benefited and are benefiting the top of our economic ladder. And that's the priority instead of addressing the debt. But in the name of addressing the debt, they'll needlessly cut crucial programs that benefit Americans who actually need those resources. So upsetting stuff there. But moving on from that, we saw this after the State of the Union address on the part of Joe Biden that we talked about already, but there's an added layer to it that I want to discuss.
62% said they're going to move in the right direction. 38% said they're going to move the country in the wrong direction. But keep an eye on that 62%, because we also asked how people felt that way prior to the speech. And if you compare here, before the speech started, these speech watchers, only 45% said Biden's policy would move the U.S. in the right direction. With watching the speech, that went up from 45% to 62%. Again, sort of within the...
So we've looked at that so many times now, but again, 45% of the Snap poll speech watchers say Biden's policies are bringing the country in the right direction before the State of the Union. After just one speech, 62% of them say Biden's policies are bringing the country in the right direction, showing there's just a lack of understanding about his record. And when people pay attention to his record or to him explaining what's been going on that front, boom, their views change. And if that can play out across the country as he campaigns and touts his record more, something he hasn't done a whole lot of during the last few years, I do think that that's going to play a huge role in a potential victory. Because a bunch of people are just used to defining Biden as the guy they've seen in some social media clips here and there, or every time they turn on the TV, all the conversations about his age. It's strange how much that can be discussed. How many words are we really going to waste on something that we get, okay, good, got it, understand that now, but let's do another panel about it, instead of talking a little bit about the things, the projects being invested in, the policies being implemented that actually impact people's lives and affect their communities in a major way. And then if you have some time at the end, maybe you mention the age thing. And so as people see Biden and not just him through the lens of Fox News or something, then they will be more motivated to vote for him. And as people see the unhinged mess that Donald Trump's campaign is going to be, hopefully to vote against Donald Trump. And things like this could help. A sign that says project funded by President Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. Again, these projects take a second to actually start being implemented. You pass something, you sign into law, then there's an extensive process to actually get it implemented. And that's starting to happen. And the economic metrics we've been following, every step of the way, things getting a lot better, a lot better. Wow, the economy is doing really strong. It takes a second for people to feel that in their lives. Crime, okay, the metrics going in the correct direction. Violent crime to historical lows. But it takes a second for people to feel that in their own experiences. And people will be feeling those things over the course of the next few months. And maybe we're seeing the beginning of a polling shift. Here's Newsweek. Joe Biden takes stunning lead over Donald Trump in 2 polls. President Joe Biden has gained, by the way. Just notice how much less coverage will be given to these polls than the polls that look bad for Biden. Very interesting. Gained a narrow lead over Donald Trump in 2 polls 8 months before November's presidential election. And specifically, 39% in this Reuters Ipsos poll to Trump's 38%. And then in a different one, you have 45% for Biden, 44% for Trump. And you'll notice that there's a portion of the electorate outstanding in the first one that's pretty major. And so they're going to have to decide what to do. Right now they're saying neither, third party maybe, or I'm undecided. But most likely a lot of those people will end up going for someone. And I think that Biden has a shot of taking the majority of those outstanding individuals. And so it's still frightening, 1 point within the margin of error. But this is the beginning of campaign season for the general election. And so I think all the different elements of that situation, the campaign season, benefit Joe Biden. The economy getting much better. Like I said, crime, people's communities becoming safer. His policies actually now being implemented. Him actually now being willing to tout his own record loudly and proudly. People being informed on that. And America actually starting to pay attention more than we have been in the last few years, because now it's election time. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of optimism. I'm feeling pretty excited about these things, and November just might be a historic victory. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you can click the alert bell, I know I'm saying that for a second time, but important, and click the like button. Then if you haven't had enough, you need more content, you can get it. Daily bonus show, lukebeasleyshow.com/membership.